Hey, hey, Ray, how we doing?
All right, all right.
We are live. This
We
is
are
our
live.
this is our third Wednesday live stream session for SPOCRA. SPOCRA.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, hello everybody. We'll give maybe a couple minutes, let a few more people drop by before we get into it.
I'll watch the chat. I had to mute because I'm watching the video, but there's a time delay, so I'm hearing both of them. I'm like, what's going on?
I know, I was just looking at that too. Is there normally that big of a time delay?
Few seconds at least. I think it's like 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds, something like that.
Okay.
I like the background. Nice. Very nice. I don't know. I wonder if we should showcase our new video today. Let's see. I'm gonna go check up on Jamie. I know she's redoing it.
That
Yeah,
wouldn't be a bad idea at all. That
she's
would actually
redoing it, but
fall right in line.
she's still rendering it, I think. So
Okay.
go check.
I'm digging your background. That's
Yeah,
pretty badass.
I don't know who made this. Maybe we'll find out on this live stream. But yeah, I love it. I love it too. It kind of just with the Infinity Stones being the Cardano roadmap eras. It's just perfect. It's just.
Are you part of a cult, Ray? Is that your cult leader back there?
Yes, I report to him and only him.
The one that holds the Infinity Stones.
You know what it is really, from a metaphorical perspective, right? You think, because we saw what happened to Thanos, right? We saw what happened to his, he had an idea of the way he believed things should be, and that meant wiping out half the population of the universe, or at least half the population of the planet. And so it really comes down to, is the person or thing or entity with that much power humble enough, aware enough, right? Are they heart centered? Are they intelligent? Are they empathic? Are they emotionally intelligent? Are they spiritually connected? Right? There are so many different personality traits and attributes that have to come together for a leader to be able to have that much power and not just casually destroy things that matter to us. And so, I think when I look at all of that, and I've watched, Charles evolve as a person, from, his days back with Ethereum all the way till now. I got, I've seen video footage and interviews and the whole nine yards, and then all the lives and stuff more recently. We're looking at the evolution of a real leader, and one that obviously a lot of us are trusting to lead us in the right direction, to lead this community and the ecosystem towards a future that has a legacy, right? Towards something that we can leave our kids and that our kids can leave for their kids, and so on. And so I think the fact that Charles has the political background also, his involvement in Ron Paul's campaign, and his TEDx talks, and his involvement in just basically trying to make a better world, has been a big part of his career. And his focus on meaningful utility and purpose, and not price action, things like that, tell me that, I've chosen the right person to follow here. And also dealing with someone obviously very intelligent, that has foresight, right? That is intelligent enough to look forward and see what's happening forward.
And you know what? I mean, he really is leading us in the right direction with, I see more and more of our community. I mean, our community in general, the Cardano community is more purpose and mission driven than like, I mean, I know you got the chart with the price in the background, but really that's a consequence. That's a consequence of our mission and purpose. We're not price driven. as a
right.
community.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons we're not is because we don't have to be. Right. I think we kind of know that we're in the engine room for a revolution here. And we know that from experience in our own businesses outside of this ecosystem, that when we put this much passion, innovation, intelligence, ingenuity, and all those things together, it brings so much value to so many people. You can trust what's going to happen to the price. It's going to go up. That's just the way the market works, right? The market works on perception of value. So really making sure that we have that for everybody, and building something that is valuable to a very large group of people. The natural consequence and side effect of that is going to be something that is financially relevant and supportive also. That's the way the markets work. It's the way these things go. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have to focus on it, I believe.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of focus, what are we going to be focusing on today, Ray?
All right. Well, we've got a really good agenda. Our biggest focus today is going to be something that I wish I had focused on more myself when I first came into this ecosystem. Is, you know, from it's the business side of being a stake pool operator, right? How important is marketing? How important is brand management, right? How important is your website and your Twitter account and your socials? How much time do you actually have to give to all of that in order to have a successful stake pool operation? Okay. So that's going to be the primary topic of conversation today, starting right from just your dream and what your own personal mission is and how you assemble that into action that drives you to your office, to your desk, and gets you to sit down consistently, either every day or every week in some rhythmic pattern that produces an outcome that's beneficial to you and that contributes to the ecosystem that then also rewards you. There's a very direct relationship. And I personally kind of learned that the hard way. So I feel like I can speak to it from experience. And for anybody that's watching and it has questions about these things, specifically the building of the business, and the marketing aspect of it and the amount of energy it takes to get a business like this off the ground, I feel like I can be helpful.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your journey to start with, and then we can get into some of the basics.
Okay.
I think we can definitely get some value from like hearing about the learning lessons that you had and like some of the struggles and the obstacles that you had to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll just go back to the beginning, right? I'll go back to coming into the ITN back in June of last year, but over a year ago. I came into this just on the heels of research, right? My beginning with all of this really started with the amount of time that I had after COVID lockdowns. I said, so what am I going to do with this extra time, right? I don't have to drive. I'm not going anywhere. I can't go anywhere. So what am I going to do with this extra time? And I turned that into answering a question. I said, so during this time of economic downturn and shutdown and all this sort of turmoil that we see happening worldwide with this pandemic, who's still spending money? Where is the money actually going? Who is bullish now? Who doesn't care about a pandemic? What industries and technologies continue to rise and capitalize? It doesn't matter what's happening around them. And so I got curious about answering that question. And that brought me right into the markets, the stock markets. It brought me to cryptocurrency. And it was along that funnel of research where I discovered Cardano. And the kind of work that they were doing, the science-based, peer-review driven work that they were doing and how they were looking at solving problems. And I said, so where is all the money going? And I saw that most of the money was going in two different sectors: the development of artificial intelligence and biotech. right? Those are the two places that were bullish last year. And I personally did very well over on the stock market side with biotech because of what was happening and the amazing growth that was happening in that area. And so all of that drove me, in answering that question: where is money going? Where is innovation going? What kind of problems are we solving? What is the next decade looking like? And who is positioning themselves to solve those problems and be of value to those communities? And so naturally I landed in the beautiful community of Cardano. And so what Cardano showed me right away was that I had a long ways to go. I needed to understand first what blockchain was. What is a blockchain, and how can I participate in that kind of community, in that kind of ecosystem? So where I was fortunate was I had the 20 years plus of IT, computer science, computer service, knowledge of servers, knowledge of firewalls and networking, and all these sort of things that aren't absolutely necessary for building a stake pool operator business. I've helped a lot of people who have absolutely no IT background. So you don't need an IT background, but it helped me to get into that envelope and start pushing for, what this was and how I was going to participate. And so I started reading the docs, and I started going through all the technical manuals, and I started, back then it was Jormungandr, not nearly as stable as Haskell, by the way, at least in the way that I've seen it running. And I started getting into the Telegram groups and meeting people and becoming part of the community slowly. And what I discovered in myself was how incredibly competitive I was. I really didn't even really know just how competitive I was until I was surrounded by other people who were passionately building their business, who were racing towards their own visions, they're racing towards success, racing towards what Charles and the rest of the community here was building up, right? How are we going to be a part of this? I don't want to get left behind. What do I have to do? And all that kind of stuff. So I got very technical. Go ahead.
Let me ask you, like when you say that everyone was racing towards, did you have like this vision of everyone like climbing the same mountain, or were people building their own mountains that they're climbing? Like how did you see like everybody, like, because I mean we're all SPOs. I mean it's like, to differentiate yourself, it's definitely a big task, just because I mean SPO, I mean all stake pools are the same really when it comes down to it. I mean the architecture and infrastructure can be a little different, but I mean, at the end of the day, what is a stake pool? They're all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yes. And I also saw, like, for example, in the ITN, I saw the pools that were making lots of blocks, and I saw the pools that weren't making lots of blocks, right? I saw the people who were struggling and the people who weren't struggling as much. And when I saw the competitiveness, because in the ITN days too, time mattered. Right, the timing of when blocks are made mattered more now than they do now. So you can actually change your clock and put yourself into where the nexus of all block creation is happening, which is in the European zone over there. And so I saw pools like Blue Cheese Steakhouse, Andrew working with that, building that Jormungandr application to be able to get the stake pool to be efficient in leadership cycles. Right, I witnessed all of that, and so I saw.
So I guess I should rephrase my question. Are we in this game like competing against each other, like all doing like the same types of things, competing with each other, like in the same arena, or is there opportunity outside of that? Do you think?
I think what's happening in this ecosystem for me, in my experience, is there's one mountain. It's a big mountain. Okay. It's the mountain of Cardano, and it's vision and desire to bank the unbanked and all of its other visions that it has within its project roadmap. So what I see is everyone is in themselves, because this is proof of stake, because the amount of stake you have in your pool matters, and because getting that stake is directly proportional to how you connect with the potential stakeholder pool out there, right? So getting their attention and getting their business is where the competition starts to come in, right? Why is someone going to choose my stake pool over another stake pool? What is the difference when we're saying that the underlying technical is really not that different? right? What is the difference? Why are people needing to make a choice if there's no difference? So what I discovered was that the competitiveness factor, instead of I'm going to beat you and shoulder you out, right? Not only was I racing to win, and not only was I experiencing other people who were racing to win, right, for their own mountain. It's a thing, we're coming to build a mountain, but we all have our own personal mountain that we're climbing also, right? So
Right.
I'm on that mountain of my own, climbing this bigger Everest over here. And what I'm seeing is not only am I racing to win, I'm also actually helping other people beat me, right? I'm showing up to people at all hours of the day in all time zones of this planet through the Telegram groups and everything else that the community was giving us as tools to connect with each other, to make sure that I'm not the only one who's doing well. Because I see that I can't do well in a vacuum. Other people have to be doing well too. And so I need to help them. And in some cases, some of the people I helped ended up doing better than me, right? In terms of the amount of stake that they got and the success of their business and their block production. So that happens, but that's okay because this is a big family, right? Brothers in arms is what I'd always tell myself. That when things get difficult, there's a ring, there's a group of us that are coming together to make sure that the backbone of the network, which is the state pool operator's job, is healthy. And the only way that's going to happen is if we help each other.
Would you say, to go along with this analogy of like the mountain, would you say that in a sense just getting to like the peak or the summit isn't like your goal? I mean, setting up like a summit like where you can like have like your own like little village almost like over there where you can thrive, and then you can create ropes and like a pave a trail for like others to come. I mean, would you say that's kind of like what's going on with like once you get to like a position where you can start helping other people?
Yeah. I think that that's one of the things that makes this community what it is the way that they not only compete with each other, but the way that they help each other at the same time, right? And so I think our success is actually driven by the fact that there's always a climb, right? If you think about one of the things that moves through every day, there's always something that you're moving towards, right? So there is a summit. And I think ultimately that summit is not reachable in this lifetime. It's not reachable as a human being. It's not something that you're actually ever going to get to. It's unattainable. But that's part of what nature and life is. That's what our biology is doing, right? It's moving and evolving towards these higher planes of consciousness and these higher peaks and these higher achievements. So there's always going to be some goal that lives on the other side of the veil, that lives in another lifetime for somebody else. And then there's the ones that you set up for yourself in this life, the ones that you can reach. And that's very important. You know, speaking from the stake pool operator business perspective now, it's really important when I know for myself, when I was getting started, it was very important to have two kinds of goals. One is the one that I can attain and reach, the reasonable one that builds confidence and self-esteem, right? The one that is a week away, a month away, a year away. Then there's the goals that are 10 years and 20 years away, and the goals that are for me to begin now and pass on to my children and to my legacy. So there are goals, and I think, you know, I remember my mentor telling me one of the worst things that happens to people is they reach their goals and they don't have other ones, so they're not in the climb. What's one of the worst things that happens to people is they fall out of that space. It doesn't mean that you're every day on the ropes and sliding down the rocks, right? There's base camps, there's times to celebrate and collaborate and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if you don't have something that's pulling you towards a summit of your own, I think that's where people get in trouble with themselves. And they don't really know how to drive through their days and through the challenges that are presented to them from the rest of the world, right? Because that energy and that clarity of vision isn't there for them to move. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. So maybe now we can move into like some more like the practical side of how we build out a business and like the basics. So when you think of building a business, what is like the first thing that you want to do? Is it setting up like a mission and purpose of what the business is being built for, or like, do you immediately just like start targeting customers, or do you start with mission and purpose?
You start with mission and purpose. Yeah, and you start with your skill set. At least, for me, going back to my experience, I came in, right? It was 2 a.m. I stumbled across making a block. I was super excited. I'm like, what did I just do? What just happened? And so all of my time was technical, right? I spent all of my ITN days and all of the HTN testnet days through the end of June and the beginning of July, and just making sure that I can bring nodes up and down, I can get on tip, and I can stay synced, and I can have peers, and just learning all the tools and being in all the groups and establishing community connections. I really wasn't thinking about how important marketing was going to be. And so I didn't enter the marketing space until very late. It was like literally right before we went into mainnet, right before Daedalus Wallet is showing all of our pools for staking, right? By that, what I noticed at the end of the test nets, right before we went to mainnet, I saw a lot of stake pool operators drop off. They went quiet. And where they went was into their marketing game. All right, where I kept going because I came in late on the ITN game. I was still learning all the technical aspects of it. I saw what was going on with a large group of people who had been there for most of the ITN as they started to do their marketing toward the end of the test nets before mainnet. So when mainnet came out, they had their websites, they had their Twitter accounts, they had their Facebook pages, their Instagram accounts, and their socials ready to go and receive demand and interest and attention. Right. So for me, what happened is I didn't realize how important the marketing game was and how important that part of the business was until after we crossed into mainnet and I started looking at, well, wait a minute, look at this. Like, how are people going to choose my pool over or other people's pools? How are they even going to know I exist if I'm not out there and if I'm not making my vision clear? So to answer your question, sitting down, in a lot of ways that the business has a roadmap, just like we see this roadmap here in this image behind me, right? Having a roadmap for your business. Where are you starting? What are your skill sets? What are your goals, right? So what do you want to do with this business, right? Do you want to be a builder and developer and contribute? Stay in that level? Do you want to be out there educating people, be more of a public figure, get yourself out there and have people seeing you and interacting with you? Do you want to be more of a community advisor, working, for example, in the Catalyst space, right? And getting people's proposals through and looking through them and things like that. So it's really important to make a choice about what your personal contribution to this ecosystem is going to be and what you want in return for it, right? Be very clear about what you need to survive, what you need for this to be a business. I noticed that, in the beginning, not everybody came in this thinking of it as a business, right? Some people came in, this is a hobby. This is interesting. Right. I have all this money and I've already paid for all my service for a whole year. And so I can be in the red. I could not be making blocks and I'm just going to chill here and just see how this works and have some fun with it. Right. In the early days, we didn't have leader logs, so we didn't know when blocks were going to be made. So it was a huge guessing game, and it is very stressful as to whether or not we had enough stake and this and that. And of course, K at that time is 150, so each pool was allowed to saturate a lot higher than they are now. So in the very beginning, it's really important to sit down with yourself and say, what is my personal mission here? What do I want to accomplish for myself, for the community that I'm joining, right? And for my family. In my case, supporting a family. How am I going to do it? Can I do it? So that's the very first step in starting a business like this. And looking at it, is it a business for you? Right? It's not a business for everybody. Like I said before, for some people it's a hobby. For some people it's a business. So, and I think as time goes on, you know, from what I'm seeing and everything that I've seen in the time that I've been here, it's less of a hobby and more of a business. I see a lot of the people who came in looking at it as a hobby are struggling a lot right now. Because they're seeing how important the marketing game is. They're seeing how important it is to get out there and get your business partners and get your stakeholders in. So
it's also becoming a lot more expensive as a hobby, if that's what you want to do. I mean, if you really want to do it as a hobby, there's test nets that you can practice on. Right. So, I mean, I would definitely echo what you said, that when you're thinking about setting up a stake pool operation, if you want to run this as a business, you really need to set aside some time to think about like what your goals are, what you want to do, and like what your mission is. So actually, Grow Pool is a mission-driven pool. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time, if you'd like to talk about how you decided on what your mission was going to be, and maybe that might give some inspiration to other people that have similar aspirations.
Yeah. So, you know, alongside all my curiosity about blockchain and the space from a technical point of view, I came in with this huge heart, with this huge desire to do something big, to do something not just for myself, but for a greater good, right? For others. And, you know, becoming a father was a really big experience for me. It transformed and changed me, and it put me into communities of children, or I got to see them play. I got to see them be loved by parents. We formed when my daughter was growing up in Hawaii. You know, we had huis of children that would get together every week, and then they would learn from each other. They would play in the playgrounds. They would always be surrounded by people who cared about their education and cared about their well-being. And so I got to see these kids grow up, right? Literally from like being born all the way up into their teenage. And some of them I actually was able to see all the way through, just like my own daughter. And so I saw that I started seeing what it took for healthy children to grow up, what kind of community assembled around them, and how much energy went into that. And I said, okay, so, you know, how can I do that on a larger scale, right? So the first thing I did is I said, well, who else is doing this? Can I join and align myself with an organization out in the world that is already doing this, that's established a precedent and it has a success and a track record for doing this, right? And at that point, I'm like, so I'm now entering into charity, right? I'm looking at charity. And I remember, you know, cautiously entering into charity when I was looking at it as to help me in building the business, right? Because really what happens is now I'm dealing with a dual mission. I'm bringing infrastructure to the blockchain and contributing that and being a backbone, right? And I'm also now mission driven in terms of bringing and creating a greater good. That's a dual purpose pool, right? There's two things that are happening there. And that was in really good alignment with where I was. I had the technical aptitude and desire to help others build their stake pools and be successful. And I also wanted to help people, specifically children, just from the experience that I just described to you. So in that process, what happened was I was already actually a donor and not a sponsor, but I was already doing donations with Save the Children. I remember actually being in Venice Beach, California. And I was just walking along, and somebody just standing on the sidewalk, on behalf of Save the Children, promoting them and trying to get people to be aware of their mission and how long they've been in business and their success and their track record. They stopped me And I let them stop me, and they educated me on what they were doing. And they said, hey, would you like to join us? Would you like to help? Would you like to donate? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I got into a relationship with Save the Children at that point. Okay. So as I came into this space, I'm like, well, one of the things that cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is doing is it's generating wealth. So I'm like, so if we're generating wealth, what are some of the communities in the world that can use a little bit of that? Right? Can I help actually funnel some of the wealth that we're creating in this space to some of the areas that could really use it? So
Yes.
So all of a sudden I'm like, I've got a mission. And I've got the tool set to actually successfully make this work, right? So it took
it was literally in Venice when you discovered like that this was going to be your mission.
No. So Venice Beach gave me the connection to Save the Children specifically.
Okay.
Right. And so when I came in, I said, I'm going to be a charity pool, and I'm a dual purpose pool, and I'm mission driven, and I want to help children. And I'm in this space is generating all this wealth. Where can I bring some of this wealth to? So I went back into Save the Children, and I started talking to them. And I'm like, okay, so if I do this, this, and this, I'll be able to do this, this, and this. And what it launched into was, okay, so with charity, the problem with charity, there's two issues that I acknowledge with charity in the space. Okay. One is there's a very large group of people that think charity is bullshit, that think that does not work. Okay. And so there's that group of people out there that I have to deal with. And then there's also, so early on in an ecosystem like Cardano that's building its roadmap and building its momentum, right? Is charity taking too much, right? Do I need to spend more of my time helping the developers and building and testing and creating, right? And educating? How do I balance this out so that it works? What rose out of my response and answer to those questions, I said, I can do both. I can be an educator, I can be a contributor, I can be a builder, and I can be a force for greater good. I can do all of that in this business model. And that's one of the beautiful things about the stake pool operation business in this particular ecosystem, is that it's able to accomplish all of those goals. Right. That does mean it's going to take time, right? It's going to take more energy, more sacrifices, more sleepless nights, but it's worth it to build that momentum. And what I didn't know was that I was also actually building a business model and an experience for other people to learn from. Right. I started noticing how other people were like, wow, this charity works. This business is working. He's making donations. Now he's got proof of donations. Now there's metadata. Now he can put this on the chain. Now he can present a transparent business model to his stakeholders, so they know that this charity is actually working. This is a charity that actually serves these children. What's happening with these children? How are we serving these children? How are we helping them? How do I establish that and demonstrate that to people so that they have confidence that I'm not just taking this all to myself, that I'm not some sort of corrupt person that just is stamping a charity label on top of this so that I can build the stake pool delegation. Right. That's all the fire and all the kind of response and reflection that I've gotten through this journey. Once I understood that I was going to be a dual purpose pool and that I was going to be aligned with an organization like Save the Children, and I made choices about why, how much of the money goes to the children, how long have they been in business, what are the children that they're serving. And I think probably the biggest reason that I chose Save the Children over other charities in this category, I think in the past, charity was about driving the food truck and the medical supply truck to the areas in need, dropping stuff off, getting food into these people, providing them with medical care, and then just hoping that helps. Okay, and how often does that really help? It doesn't. And then that was one of the problems with a lot of charities out there. A lot of charities are failing because they're either not fundraising properly, That's the biggest reason. And the second reason is because they don't have a plan for how to help the people in the community that they're serving rise into independence and autonomy.
Gotcha.
They don't. That's important. Can we bring them skills and resources and educational material and be empowering for them to stand on their own feet? Is that possible?
Right. Like that, the story that you shared most recently of the lady that was funded when she was a child and then came back to what was it called? Save a Child?
Mm-hmm. Save the Children. She came back. So she was 50 years ago. Okay.
That's
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
50 years ago, she was sponsored. The Save the Children is 100 years old. They've been around for a long time. 50 years ago, she was sponsored, made a huge impact on her life. She remembered it when she got into a place where she was doing well as a result of how that helped set her up for that life path. She came back and started sponsoring a child herself.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So there's the side of making a charity work where you're bringing value to the people that are receiving the charity. But what about the delegators, the ones that do you think of delegators as clients? Like, how do you think of the people that are delegating your pool because they want to contribute to Save Children?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting with delegators, right? Their stake is fundamentally important to the mechanics of the blockchain. Okay, so their stake is important to the health of the ecosystem. Number one. Number two, they're looking for financial well-being. That's another thing that they're looking for. And number three, they're looking for what are they going to be supporting? Are they going to be supporting builders and developers that are necessary for the ecosystem to thrive and evolve? Or are they going to be supporting a greater good? Right? The consequence of the mechanics of the blockchain causes a reward mechanism that causes a profit that causes a greater good. And just because they've decided as a consensus, as a collective, to join the mission of a pool like the one that we have with Grow, you now have this incredible outcome that also comes from it. So I see stakeholders as all of the above. I see them as people. I see them as customers. I see them as clients. It really depends also on how they engage us. So, to answer another, a little bit more of the question of building the business, I think one of the differences between stake pool operations is the stake pool operator, right? Do you have connection to them? Do you trust them? What kind of operation are they running, right? Are they running in the cloud? Are they bare metal? Are they hybrid? Do they have power backup? Do they have redundancy for their internet? What is their uptime, right? Are they reliable? Those are all the technical aspects of it.
Well, a lot of that stuff I've seen a lot of marketing where stake pool operators will say they got 24/7, 100% uptime and running with all this infrastructure. I mean, how is anyone able to prove any of that? And 100% uptime is not even possible. So when you put that, it just makes it look like you're not being legitimately sound and like from a technical side or being honest.
Well, it's because of the technology of the blockchain. So for 4 nines, right? It's one of the tiers out there in data center world. 99.99% uptime means 52 minutes of downtime a year. Okay. So think about it for a second. What causes downtime? The need for maintenance. One, that's the biggest one. The second one is unpredictable events. The internet's down, right? You can't control the fact that the ISP is down or the cloud provider is having a problem. So you're down because of an uncontrollable event, right? So 100% is very difficult. I would say that it's not impossible. It's not like, for example, look at Growpool. Growpool's never missed an assigned block, right? I've always been there for every single leadership election that has been given to us. And so one of the things that comes with this technology is we can have a backup block producer, right? So if there's a problem with our primary, we have something on the backside that takes over, right? And then there's a mechanism that switches that over and makes one the primary and the other one backup. So we can get really close to 100%. I think 100% is it's ideal. It's very difficult. I think if you look back at your track record, you'll see maybe over the course of like a 3 or 4 year period, let's say, that you might have had a year where you were up 100%.
And what you're just describing, I would just describe that as best practices for running a stake pool operation. And I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a way to distinguish yourself as, I mean, it is in a way, but eventually it's just going to be like, okay, if you want to run a stake pool operation, you have to have a backup. Like you have to be checking leader logs. You have to be making sure that you're going to be there online when you're assigned to a leader position. So yeah, that kind of stuff. It's just, in my mind, like over time, that's just going to be like a requirement. So it's not going to be a way to market.
Yeah, it's not marketing. I mean, it's important. I think that, going into, going back to answering the question, one of the things that I know helped, because I've noticed that I've been approached by stakeholders and potential stakeholders on every single channel that I've opened up for them to connect with me. They've come to me through the website email. They've come to me through the website chat connector. They've come to me through Telegram. They've come to me through Twitter DMs. They've come to me through Instagram Instant Messenger. They've come to me through Facebook Messenger and Facebook group posts. So there's communication there. And I think that the easier you make it for your business to respond to the potential business of a stakeholder or to an existing customer client that has an issue, like I would have, a new staker that would reach out through an email and say, hey, I've been with you for 2 epochs and I haven't seen rewards yet. And I'm like, oh, this is a 15, 20-day thing. You give it some time and you explain to them how that works. Oh, okay, cool. And then they come back, hey, I got my rewards. Thank you so much. And then there's people like, how do you do this? I need your help. There's other people that's like, hey, I'm looking for transparency. Can you provide me with receipts? Can you demonstrate that the donation was made? I get people like that too.
So that's a value proposition to your delegators then, as customers, providing that kind of
transparency.
And even something as simple as like setting up a calendar like on your website that shows like when your rewards are coming or when you produce a block or something like that. And then like even further, like you said, like a receipt or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like if you go to the Grow website right now and you go to donations made, you'll see donations made. How much? When they were made, the whole 9 yards, right? I know that was a big thing. That was a real turning point in the ecosystem when we were able to demonstrate transparency and establish integrity of the business that is dual purpose and making these donations and establishing that they're actually happening. That was a big deal. And I noticed that was also a growth period for my pool specifically. And I've also seen the way in which other mission-driven pools in the charity space have taken that and have been able to bring more success to their business as well, right? When it comes to charity specifically as a business model here, you have to establish transparency, right? That's just a given. You have to establish trust with your stakeholders. The other thing that happens, I know a lot of us stake pool operators are doing in my Telegram channel, for example, every 5 days, you let your delegators who are members of your Telegram channel know how you're doing. I did these blocks. This is the ROS. This is the block schedule. These are the donations made. This is our luck. This is how we're doing as a pool, right? Our pledge is going up, all that stuff. So, answering that question again about the business side of the stake pool, website, very important, right? Because the website is the link that all of our pool tools take the potential customer too. So the website or your wherever you're telling your metadata description, right? When you register the pool, what you're putting in there, whether it's your Twitter account or your website, wherever you're funneling people, that landing is very important. And what I've noticed, my website has evolved a lot over the last year, right? And I've learned a lot from other SPOs, right, who are doing better than me in my perception. And I go, what are they doing differently that's working better for them, right? What can I change? And I noticed what that meant was, what I can do differently is follow the path of less is more, in a sense, right? Not just throw up all this crazy information, but create like kind of like a journey, right? When you go to the website, for someone who's coming to the website, they're already thinking about pools and staking and stuff. They're not learning about cryptocurrency per se. They might. It depends on how your marketing campaigns are working. But by the time someone's landing on your website, they're already kind of looking at what pool they're going to choose for their stake. So right away, you want to tell them some key points about what your pool is all about. Maybe some awards and some success stories that you have. Maybe like an inset of the ADA pools, live stake status and things like that. You're telling a story. So let the website be your storyboard. So when people are going, especially all the people who are scrolling on mobile, tell the story and direct their attention where you want it to go. If someone's coming to you, they want to know, how expensive are you going to be? How skilled are you? And what are you doing? And how successful are you at the goals that you have? That's your story. And of course, you can also have pieces in there about education, right? The general Cardano project, roadmap, and all those kinds of things to help people connect and give them more value adds. I think it does help. I will say this to all the SPOs out there, in my experience, because building trust is such an important part of this experience. It's very important, if possible, to put yourself out there, right? Do a video if you can, even if it doesn't have to be a live video per se, that does help. But creating content that a potential delegator can use in a 2 to 4 minute period of time to very quickly get a picture of you, right? Because remember, a lot of times the stakeholders' trust is instinctual. It's gut. They feel it before they think it. They get a feeling about you, right? So where is that feeling coming from? It's coming from how you present your information, right? The story that you're telling. I noticed when I got help marketing, I got help in building videos. Twitter has a 2 minute and 20-second cutoff to autoplay the videos for you. Anything longer than that, you have to link out to a YouTube channel or some other source, right? So I started building videos that were 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. And I kid you not, like 2 minutes and 19.5 seconds, right? And I learned how to put as much meaningful content and telling the story of what the pool is doing as I possibly could. So that people in a very short amount of time can get a feeling, right? Because it's the feeling that lasts. The feeling is what they, for example, if they can't stake right away, how are they going to remember you? That feeling that you gave them. You gave them a feeling. So after dinner, they're going to remember the feeling and they're going to go back to that wallet and they're going to find you and they're going to stake to you because you left a memory for them. You created a memory for them. So marketing ultimately is about creating experience, memory, and a feeling for them so that they understand what they're getting into and what they're supporting.
So I'd like to, I'm glad that you started touching on marketing. I'd like to go a little bit deeper into that, but first I just want to wrap up our discussion on building a business. So most important to me is, how would you provide value to someone that is delegating your pool? So thinking about that. So for people that already have websites and Twitter accounts and all that stuff we said that you need to build up and you're not getting the delegators, you gotta really ask yourself, what are you providing? What is your like unique niche that you're bringing to the table? I guess that's really what you need to think about. But then for other opportunities, there is something called initial staple offering that I've seen recently that seems to be pretty successful. So the idea behind this is it's kind of like, it's not an ICO where you're selling like a token or anything like that, but you're using your pool as a way to generate funds for a specific project or purpose. So bringing like a project to the table, and then using your stake pool to collect all those funds from like the very excited people. I mean, this is actually a really good business model if that's something that you want to use. It can't work in every situation, but it looks like it's pretty successful. I think the most recent one I've seen is Meld, where they're going to be a DeFi application that looks to be pretty legitimate from what I've seen so far. So definitely consider initial stake pool offering. That's actually something I'm considering maybe for the future as well. It looks like it could be a viable option. And then also, if building a business and running like a business is not your forte, it's not for everybody. I mean, maybe you want to consider partnering with someone. I mean, if your skill set is more technical and you just really like running the pool, if you can find somebody that is just good at marketing and they want to like they just have like good business ideas, maybe you need to partner with someone like that. Talk to your family, talk to your friends. Maybe there's someone that you know, because it's best to find someone that you can trust. That's really, if you're going to do a partnership, you have to be able to trust that person. So finding a random person on the internet, I mean, it's not unheard of that you can do that, but just finding somebody on the internet that you don't really know may not be the best solution. So just throwing a couple ideas out there.
Yeah. Speaking to that, I know, one of the best things that I did and this happened to Twitter. I was on Twitter one day and I see this new account, right? Think and Grow Crypto. And I'm like, wow, who's this, right? And because they got the name Grow, right? I'm like, what are they doing? Because I can see that she's also thinking about having a pool and stuff. So I remember reaching out to her and saying, hey, how's it going? What are you hoping to do? And where are you at now? And all that kind of stuff. And it was through that conversation that I found a marketing partner, right? I was looking for one. I needed help. I didn't have the time to be the business, the customer service, the technical, and do all of the marketing and video content and run my managed service provider IT business in Hawaii. I couldn't do all that. So I needed help. And knowing where you need help and being okay asking for help is really big. And giving people a chance to show up to you. And so I remember I approached her and we started working together, and she had a video content experience, right? She knew how to build videos. And so we worked together and she helped me build some really great videos that made it really clear to people what Grow was all about in my case. And so very, very grateful. Shout out to you, Jamie, and 21 Ada in their pool. I wouldn't be where I am without you. We're still working together, actually, and she's also helping us here with SPOCRA. We have a video that we've just produced. We're very close to releasing it, and she helped a lot with that video.
Thank you, Jamie. It's beautiful. It's amazing. You have incredible work.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
So that's really big. I would have to say probably one of the biggest marketing pieces outside of having a Twitter and a website, right? So the mins, if somebody came to me and say, what are the minimums? What are my minimums? I would say Twitter, website, Telegram, a way to connect with people. Those are the three minimums. And then if they said, okay, so what's the extra? Video, make videos, make it very clear how you're different from others. right? What are you doing specifically? And you know, put your heart and soul into it. And that will really help drive awareness and attention to what it is you're trying to accomplish.
And just having the website and Twitter account alone is, I mean, that's like Ray said, it's bare minimum, but that's not where you stop. I mean, just having it is not going to attract delegators. So like he said, videos that drive feeling so that people understand like what you are about. That's establishing branding right there. That's like your business ethos, your mission, and your let's see. So to go along with branding, how did you come up with your logo? Like how does that fit in with like what Grow is?
Well, that's a whole other series that I need to do. I haven't really spoken too much to the lore and the history of the logo. The logo is very old. It's thousands of years old. It is what's called a yantra. It is a geometric symbol that has for thousands of years represented unity and abundance. At the core level is what it represents. It is the marriage of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, and the love that is the result of that union. So that is what that symbol represents. So it is in my view, the perfect symbol to bringing unity and abundance through the community to the children that we serve. What the children need to grow up and be healthy in this world is a unified community and the abundance that they need to get their start. So that's where that came from. It is also a piece that is used in ceremony and meditation, and I learned how to draw it at the small scales that you see in the logo. My largest version of that logo that I ever drew was over 13 feet in diameter. And I drew it for a large ceremony, actually a wake of a friend's passing. So it's very powerful. It's very old. For those of you who are curious about it, I suggest looking into it. The name of that particular symbol is the Sri Yantra, or also known as the Sri Chakra. That's the actual name of that symbol. So when I first came in, I didn't come in with my own drawing. I came in with somebody else's drawing because I was slapping all of this together quickly because I was late to the marketing game. So after some time went by, I said, okay, I'm going to put myself into this. I'm going to draw this. I'm going to start color scheming. So branding is a thing, definitely.
Yes. And just to your point, I mean, having the right logo is very powerful. So really think about like, what is your business like ethos and how you can craft a logo or like in your case, I mean, you found like an ancient symbol that really represents and like solidifies like what you're doing with your pool. So along with that as well, character and persona. So like when you're making your videos, let that come out so that people can see like this is the SBO behind this.
Yeah.
So we got only a couple minutes left. I just want to quickly run through a couple things. So we talked a little bit about Twitter. I mean, honestly, we could probably make like a whole video just about Twitter game. I would definitely just Google that. I mean, there's already lots of stuff out there that you can look into to help with your Twitter game. I'm sure Ray's got some good tips and stuff, but we don't have much time left.
I do want to say something about it. So
okay.
Here's what I'll say about Twitter. Okay, Twitter has been very helpful to the business. I have gotten stakes through Twitter. So here's what you do with Twitter. Okay, Twitter is the place where you make yourself known, what's important to you, your mission, and all that. It's where you learn about other people. It's where you follow others, and people follow you. So Twitter is an all hours of the day kind of thing. There's conversations that you're getting into with people, right? And there's always the people that jump in and say, where do I stake my ADA? Or I have this question, or I'm looking for this, right? So it's the place where you promote and advertise. And it's that constant dialogue that you're in. It's the place that you also make fun, right? Make fun for your delegators, have rewards, have games, right? I'm looking for this many followers. I'm giving away this much ADA, this much. I think I've given like 1,000 ADA away through my giveaways on Twitter, and it helps. It keeps their attention. They want to play. People are here to play also. So making it fun for them, and Twitter kind of has, I believe, a good way of doing that.
I definitely agree. Definitely agree. That's why it's called Twitter game, because it's all play, right? The last couple of things I'd like to say is that you can craft some marketing driven events. It's definitely good to know if you can find out, like get in contact with your delegators. Like if you don't even know them and they're just staking your pool, don't expect them to stay if you're not even in contact with them. So if you try to get email or other contact, or set up like a Telegram so that you can chat with them, definitely do that. And then also you can even go as far as like establishing loyalty, and then maybe rewarding those that have been in your pool, staking with you for quite some time. So rewarding people that are loyal to you is definitely important as well.
Yeah, that is really big, especially now, right? And this is really a whole other video. We're talking about initial stake pool offerings and all of those things, all of these DeFi products and additional financial services that are being developed now. They are bringing game. They're bringing even more competition to the space. So building loyalty with your delegators is really important, right? Because there has to be something that holds them to your mission, right? That gives them permission to miss out on this other thing, right? And whatever gains or values that might come out of this other thing. So it's why the game has to be better than ever now. Even more so than when we came into this game. The competition is going to get fiercer. So you want your brand to be as clear as it can possibly be consistent. And don't forget, you're driving feeling. You're driving something inside of them that they can remember and feel connected to and resonant with.
Totally. Well, I had fun talking with you, Ray. I feel like we can talk for another hour on this. Maybe,
Easy.
Maybe we'll do another live stream session to go into some of these deeper topics and see if we got any feedback from anybody, if they got any questions or anything. So I appreciate everybody that joined us today. Got to wrap it up though.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for joining us and for being here. And also, we've seen a lot of membership to SPOCRA. Keep coming. We're building up, and there's a lot of great value that's going to be coming out of this group. And this group is committed to the integrity and equilibrium of the blockchain. That is our mission. That's what we're here for. And all of this is a part of it. Your business, your personal business is a part of that, and everything up from there to the top of the mountain. So we're here for you. Please feel free to DM us, connect with us, go to our website, become a member, contribute, whatever you'd like to do. This is why we're here.
Yes. So thank you, everybody.
I just wanted to say thank you both to Ron and Ray. It was very informative, especially for a young and upcoming SPO operator. So it was really eye-opening to get some deep insights into communication and maintaining your brand as well. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome, John. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Definitely come by Saturday too for our public meetings. All right. Adios.